feeling that I have now, which has been like that for a little while, is that it's a total mess at Old Trafford. Both of these two parties are completely culpable in what's happened. People sort of pleading for Ruben Amorim that he's some sort of been hard done by and this is really sad on him. No, it's not. He's had a terrible record at Manchester United. And if anything, he's lucky to still be in the job with the level of support that he's had. Conversely, I see his point. If he's been made promises by an incompetent set of people who don't have a clue what they're doing, who have basically come into the football club, backed Eric Ten Hag, then sacked him and wasted money, fought for Daniel Ashworth, then sacked him after a few weeks in the job, and now bring in a guy who you know plays 3-4-3, and then he's now saying, I want more control, and you know that's what he wants, and now you're butting against him, and then try to frame it to United fans like you're sacking him because of results. No, they're not. Manchester United haven't just sacked Ruben Amorim because of results. We're 3 points off the top four, and we're joint fifth. We're in the run for Europe. They've sacked him because they've promised him things and not delivered upon it. But at the same time, we as fans should not lap up this sort of sentiment that actually, oh, Ruben's really hard done by. Ruben could have been sacked in the summer for losing to Spurs. Ruben could have been sacked for finishing 15th. He was given £200 million in the summer to get a whole new front line. We've got 2 wins in 11 games. So the form is not good. It's just a poor league, and we're not far off where we are in the league. And we're as closer to the third place team as we are to the 15th place team. So I just think it leaves us in a really difficult position. And my biggest situation now is I don't trust INEOS to make positive, correct decisions for the next bit of our football club, because there've been a lot of lies, there've been a lot of PR. Last time we heard from Sir Jim Ratcliffe during the international break, he said, I need to give this manager 3 years. That's what I need to do. And I came on this very show and said, we kind of needs to earn that. You can't just give it to him as a default. You still need to show things along the way. They've said loads of things that just haven't transpired into truth. They've led Manchester United fans down the garden path, and there needs to be clarity now.
Flex, I'm so glad you've said that, because I was literally discussing this with Tom. Everyone's digging out Ruben Amorim, and we know he ain't been good enough. Results ain't been good enough. Football's not been good enough. Philosophy's not been good enough. All that. But I'm so glad you've come on and said that, because the ball ain't been good enough either. They've been miles off it since the Ten Hag thing, since the Dan Ashworth thing, and you're absolutely right. You know, we can sit here and say, oh, they've acted quickly. He's come out and dug the ball out, and we sack him, and we go, that's not good enough. Man United are in. Well, hold on a minute. It wasn't long ago that, you know, he was on here, Ratcliffe, talking about he's going to have 3 years and this is our this and we're going to do that. And next minute he's sacked. So I'm so glad you come on and said that, Flex, because I think it's very easy to sit here and say Ruben Amorim's not good enough manager, and he ain't. But this is on the board as well.
Both things are true. And this is the thing where I think, because we're emotional and we have to start again now and what are we going to do? It's very difficult to comprehend and to basically talk about this without these nuances of both sides. It's very difficult to do that because we're emotionally charged. And it does have this feeling like, do you know what? We're finished. We're finished. Like, yes, you remove the manager who's clearly not good enough, but then you look at the people who have to be in charge of taking you to war. They're the captains. They're the commanders saying, right, guys, let's get together and let's do this together. And you're going, I don't trust them one bit. Look at the decisions that they've been making. It's been poor. And then you know this manager, Ruben Amorim, talking about, look, he said, I'm the manager. I've come here to be the manager, even though his title is head coach. But what he actually means by that in context is, what I've agreed here with these guys is I want to be overseeing things. There's quotes from Jason Wilcock saying, we believe in Ruben's vision. It's his system is more tactically flexible than people give it time for. We want to get all the pieces for him. You've given us all this lip service. And then since the Antoine Semenyo deal didn't go through, something's gone wrong, and then he's thrown his toys out the pram, and Flex, Ruben really has backed them into a corner.
Owen, what did you think when you heard the news?
I mean, I can't say I was totally shocked. I mean, it's just a total mess, really. I think in this case, I think several things can be true. I don't really want it to be dressed up in the whole thing of, you know, Ruben Amorim, he's been really hard done by, because I don't think he has. I mean, his record at Manchester United, it's, you know, let's face it, it's abysmal. Lowest win rate of any Man United manager in Premier League history. He could have been sacked after losing the Europa League final to Spurs. He could have been sacked for finishing 15th. He could have been sacked after losing to Grimsby in the Carabao Cup. Instead, he got backed with 200 million. And yeah, things are a little bit better, but last season you finished 15th. What's really the barometer? You can't really use it to compare that. And still, it's a couple of wins in our last 11 games or so. And I think that's one aspect that's true. But the other part that's also true is that INEOS and the board have shown themselves just to be totally incompetent too. I think, after all those things I've mentioned, they still didn't sack him because of results. They sacked him because of a fallout. I mean, they should have sacked Erik ten Hag in their first summer. They didn't. Instead, they decided to give him money. They waited and waited for Dan Ashworth, went to arbitration with Newcastle, got him, and then sacked him a few months later. Now they bring in Ruben Amorim, who's a 3-4-3 coach, plays wing backs, and we don't have the players to do that. Back him publicly, despite it obviously failing and not working. Give him 200+ million, and then probably sack him 6 months too late, not even for footballing reason. I mean, it reeks of incompetence, no plan. And I think now when we hear all the justification surrounding it, I just don't really believe a word that they say. This sort of grand plan that was sold to us doesn't appear to be true. And whilst it's the right call for him to go, do I now have the faith that they're going to make the right call in bringing the next person in? Because I think any top manager that has won stuff in football, needs that level of autonomy, isn't going to get it at Manchester United. So who are they then looking for? Are they looking for this young, inexperienced manager, a bit like what Ruben was, to kind of manipulate and be sort of the puppet master behind the strings and tell them what to do? I mean, where's the accountability involved in all of this? It's just, the accountability is non-existent, and it's a total mess, unfortunately.
It does seem like a lot of the Manchester United fans are kind of not taking sides. They don't particularly like what Amorim's done, and they don't particularly like the hierarchy at the club either, which is never really a good sign. But in terms of the next manager, no one's really kind of nailed their colours to the mast here and said, I want this manager. We had earlier on, we had someone saying Maresca, but only as an interim. No one has said, I want this manager and I want them now. Is there anyone in your mind?
Not really. I mean, prior to Ruben Amorim, there was the talks about Thomas Tuchel, who I was an advocate for him to bring in, but they had talks and both sides, once again, kind of said no. And I don't blame Thomas Tuchel for looking at it like that. This is when I go back to, I don't think a top coach would be interested in this job, which is incredible to say that a top coach wouldn't be interested in the Manchester United, not manager, head coach role, because... And I don't blame him for that, because this job requires experience. We've seen a manager like Ruben Amorim, who's an upcoming coach, be out of his depth. We've seen Erik ten Hag, another person outside of, in the Eredivisie, he's won that a couple of times, out of his depth. We've seen experienced managers look out of their depth, like Louis van Gaal, Jose at certain points, look out of their depth. So you need someone to come in that can manage the weight of that job. But it looks like INEOS aren't looking for people like that. They're looking for younger coaches that are happy to be in the hot seat because they probably realise they shouldn't be in this position at this stage in their career. And then they'll get told by Jason Wilcox, to play a back four or maybe play this game of a 4-4-2. And I just don't know if that's ever going to work. That's the problem. I don't even know if it's necessarily about who's next. I think the real debate and question is the long term of, is this ever going to work out? Is that setup ever going to work out? Or are you going to realise several years down the line, we probably need to give some autonomy to an experienced guy, but by that point, is the damage going to already be done? I think that maybe you see a scenario whereby they wait until the summer coming out of the World Cup. There's probably going to be quite a few high-profile managers available. Maybe a Nagelsmann might be available then. Maybe, Ancelotti with Brazil. You never know what's going to happen after then. Pochettino, those names have been linked before. But if I was them, I'd probably stay clear, because plenty of managers in the past have come in and sort of ruined their reputation on Manchester United. And now it looks like even if you came in, you're not going to be in full charge as it is. So why would you sign up to those terms?
I'd love to know where this model has ever worked. I'd love to know that, because when I look at Premier League champions, which Manchester United used to be every single season with Sir Alex Ferguson, who was the manager of that football club. I look at Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, he's the manager of that football club. I look at Pep Guardiola, who's the manager at that football club. Now we're seeing Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. He's the manager of that football. I'd love to know where this project and this model come from, how it's become, the way of the new world and the new way of how we're going to do things, buying young players at Chelsea and, bringing in managers who are basically yes men. I'd love someone tell me where this model has worked. Someone, because I don't think I've ever seen it be successful.
No, I think it's almost an overcompensation. I think football has evolved, and I do think that as particularly a job like Manchester United, as the club is this huge institution, there are aspects that maybe you can't control everything like Sir Alex Ferguson used to do. But I think that a lot of teams, to your point, Jamie, have got it the wrong way round. I think those people should be there to to highlight the managers, to help the manager, not to tell him what to do. So I think it should be a case of, okay, the manager comes in, the coach comes in, they've got their principles, they've got the way that they play, and then everyone around him is meant to support him, bring in the players that are going to make that better, set up the environment and the standards that are going to support and back him. But it feels like it's the other way around here. It feels like it's a case of, we just want someone to come in, just to be on the training ground every single day. But the big key decisions on how you set up, how you play, the game model, we're going to determine. And look, I guess with coaches, they know what they sign up for. Ruben was maybe playing up that he didn't, but he did. And now it's just a case of who's willing to sign up to that. But is that ever going to work? And is that person good enough to be the Manchester United head coach?
Well, we will find out. Owen, thank you.